his freaking Pinocchio schlong, his Pinocchio.
New Slipknot album coming out. We Are Not Your Kind. Drops in August. Don't remember the date. Doesn't matter. I wasn't really planning on making this video at all, but the single Unsainted came out this morning, and at least I saw it this morning. I think it came out this morning that it was officially released, and then I watched it and I started like ranting to my bandmates, my old bandmates, about the single and about Slipknot in general, and then it became this bigger and bigger thing. And then I felt like, you know what, I may as well just rant about Slipknot in general. So yes, it's in the review section because I'm going to talk about. I guess I'm reviewing Slipknot as a whole, which is kind of weird, but it's all based off of like they released this new single for their new album. Where to start? Where to start? Oh, I guess we'll start from the present and go back. I don't know. I'm trying to keep it short. So, they dropped a new single, Unsainted, and it's like this video that's like the big mask reveal, and I mean, I don't know what to talk about first, the sound or the visuals. So, I mean, the fact that this is like a big mask reveal in the first place is really dumb. Like, I don't, I think it's just silly. Um, it's also funny too, because I was like, when I was chatting with my bandmates, I was like, man, like Craig's mask, Mick's mask, it's like they haven't changed since like the first album. They pretty much like haven't really changed, especially Mick's. Like it's different, but it's like almost exactly the same. So it was like that doesn't bother me. The fact that the masks haven't changed does not bother me. The fact that they normally change or that they do change every single album, that doesn't bother me. I kind of like that actually, but having like a mask reveal party, like having your video be your mask reveal and stuff, like, or even having any video, even if it wasn't a song, you're like, check out our new masks. It just seems weird to me. And the thing that bothers me about the fact, when I mentioned the fact that Craig's mask and Mick's mask hasn't really changed, the only reason I bring it up as a point of contention is because in the video, Mick's just like they go and have these close-up shots of all the masks and all the members, right? And then Mick's just like looking evil as F because he always like his mask is pretty badass, and so yeah, but he's just looking like real hard, and it's like, dude, you're showing off your mask right now, and your mask is like exactly the same. I just thought it was funny, but yeah, the whole mask reveal thing, I just like again, I think it's really silly. I don't know if this is just like a change in the times and just like, oh, social media, we need to like promote this and promote that, and like obviously the masks have been a thing that have been appealing from the very beginning. Like they appealed to me, like this visual aspect, like just being attracted to visual art and like art of all kinds, and mixing that with theatrics and music and like the concepts, lyrics, and everything. It really goes hand in hand. It's really part of who Slipknot is, who they are. I don't really think they're gonna pull a Kiss and have like an era of time where they go like naked like faces, right? Like Kiss just like we're not doing the makeup anymore, and for a little bit they didn't have makeup at all. I don't think that's gonna be a thing for Slipknot to ever do. I don't think they should do it. I think they should do whatever they want to do, which leads us into some other territory here for what we're gonna get into. But I guess first, well, I mean, like again, the mask reveal. It just seems like it's catering to something that I just don't like, and it feels very anti-Slipknot to me. And I'm probably going to say that a couple times during this video. That really like making a mask reveal video as your first single for your new album just doesn't seem like it's a very transparent as like a this is marketing now. Like we need to do stuff for social media. We need to like do this. We need to show off the mask. We need whatever. Like I don't know. That's just my take on it. And again, that might be just those are the times. The song itself, I don't want to get like really super heavy and deep into like deconstructing like every album and whatever else, but the song is very stock. It's very much new Slipknot. Melodies, vocal patterning, where they switch things up and break it down a bit, and like everything just seems like, yeah, that's new Slipknot. Like, that's, yeah, like, it's it sucks because they're leading with this single, So it does not give me a lot of hope for the whole album. Like, you know, you could. For me, like, this is peak Slipknot right here. Like, this is. I hate to be that guy. I'm not going to go back to Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat and say that's like peak Slipknot. That was like before they were signed. Like, I mean, because there's some not great songs on that album, and some of those songs made it to this album, which people hate, like Tattered and Torn is like one of my favorite tracks. And Iowa is still like very much on the same plane. Subliminal Verses was still good, and that seemed like where the evolution kind of happened there. And then after that, obviously, there's still been an evolution. All Hope Is Gone. I still felt okay with that evolution. And then we get into the Gray chapter, and I was like, there's there's still songs out there that I like. Like, I can listen to the album kind of without cringing. There's only one. It's actually a lyric that makes me cringe more than anything. So it's one song, really. Whatever. Anyway, the thing is that just like, we're getting further and further away from this, and that's okay. Because natural evolution, you do what you want to do, you make music for you. I'm all about that. I don't, when it comes to like selling out, to me, what happens with a band selling out, it's not that they just. Some bands just get like softer and softer and softer and softer because they started out so aggressive or extreme or whatever, right? Or it's like, oh wow, you had no clean vocals and now you have clean vocals. And we were talking about Whitechapel or even Bring Me the Horizon or whatever, right? Like, I think that those two bands I just thought off the top of my head, but I mean like those bands. I mean, I would love to talk about Bring Me the Horizon one day as a whole review thing because they are such a shining example to me of like a very natural and subtle, like, evolution. Just like the best evolution a band could have, where you see the arc in all the albums, and we're at this place, and where we started from and where we're at now is, like, vastly different. Where Slipknot is now is not that vastly different from where they began, to me, in comparison to a band like Bring Me the Horizon, right? But yeah, I think, like, and same thing with Whitechapel or whatever, introducing new elements, evolving, that stuff happens naturally, and that doesn't bother me at all. The fact that Bring Me the Horizon is such a, like the last two albums especially, or the last one very especially, is such a commercial sound, accessible, that doesn't bother me at all because I really think genuinely it's the direction they want to go. The fact that, songs like Pray for Plagues and whatever else, like we talk about like the first two albums, yeah, like not very accessible at all. Very much more in the extreme. Count Your Blessings was just, yeah, that's not getting on the radio, right? Anyway, I don't want to go off on this whole tangent about Bring Me the Horizon. It's just the fact that like, I don't, like, the fact that where they started and where they ended up doesn't bother me because I really genuinely think they're doing what they want to do, and that it just coincidentally happens to be a very much more acceptable, poppier, commercial, accessible sound where they can get into so many different markets, so many different people, thus making more money, for sure, that's undeniable. But I don't think that's the reason they did it. Versus a band like Nickelback, where I like some Nickelback, but for me, like, the peak album was The Long Road, and then I really felt like, I mean, there's some bangers off that album. There's still some, like, really good, like, hard songs, even off of, All the Right Reasons. Like, there's some good songs on there. But to me, it seems really transparent, like, oh, these are the songs that make us money, let's do more of those, let's do more of those, let's do more of those. They were already a radio rock band pretty much from day one, and then it really seems like they took in the stats, they took in the business end of it, and then catered to that fan base, and they stopped really putting out, like, heavy bangers and just, like, whatever else. Okay, so unfortunately, I feel like Slipknot's got one foot in each camp, where they acknowledge that the first two albums were hard, like, as hell, and just, like, super, super tight, extreme, really good. They've said, like, no, we're naturally evolving, we're doing what we want to do. And again, as long as a band is doing what they want to do, I can never call them a sellout. If they're doing something for money, I mean, that's technically what they want to do, right? But I mean, if they're changing their musical style, their lyrics, their concepts, their presentation, if they're doing all that for the purpose of just making money, to me, that is selling out, right? If they're doing what they want to do musically for the love of the art, and it happens to be more commercial, it happens to be more accessible, I don't have a problem with that. So Slipknot has said, no, we do what we want to do, very punk attitude, very much like we're doing what we want to do for the love of the music, for the love of the art, whatever. They've maintained that the whole time. And I have to say here that, like, um, Clown is just like, just as an artist, I mean, just an amazing, amazing artist in every sense of the word. And just, I love hearing him talk about art. And also love what he produces as well. And I mean, so, and he's becoming more and more and more of a vocal presence in representing the band, which I love. But anyway, so it's, they've maintained that attitude the whole time of like, we're doing what we want to do, right? So when people were talking about Great Chapter and talking about certain songs and being like this, that, and the other thing, they've maintained that this is what they want to do, and they're going to do whatever they want to do anyway, right? But then they also have a foot in the other camp, which is like, no, this album's gonna be like, we're going back to like real hard stuff. This is gonna blow your mind. This is gonna be nuts. And they've kind of like referenced going back and taking influence from the self-titled and Iowa as well. And like, no, this is gonna be like the hardest thing since whatever. And it's just like, no, it's not. Just face it, it's not. Like everything you've been doing, whether it's a natural progression or not. Because I can't say, I'm not saying, oh, this is like Nickelback because they're just doing what makes them money. I'm not saying that. Not when it comes to the music. They might genuinely be evolving in that direction very sincerely and naturally, and that's just what's happening, right? Maybe that's what's going on. However, they all, like I said, you've got a foot in each camp here of like, we're going back to this, and we acknowledge that this is what fans want. That's the thing too. If they went back to this because that's what fans want, that would be a kind of form of selling out, right? Because if it's not what they want to do, but the thing is that they're not doing it anyway. They're talking about going back to it and how this is going to be super heavy and whatever else, and then it doesn't really happen. Again, there's songs off Great Chapter that I really, really enjoy. Super enjoy the songs, whatever. Like as for the new album, I'm still gonna buy it. Like just even off that one single, like I'm still gonna buy it. It's not a complete stinker. It's a good song. Okay, like Unsainted is a good song. But it's not surprising. It doesn't feel like it's really evolved much from anything I would have heard off the Great Chapter. It's just kind of, and again, it seems very stock. As for like what new Slipknot is, that's new Slipknot. That's just what that is. So again, it doesn't give me hope for the whole album because they're leading off with that single. So again, like my rant is really just kind of just. The catalyst was them dropping this new single for the new album, just like the video and the song, and I'm like, eh. And it's also just the thing about Slipknot altogether, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to feel anymore. Like, they've gotten so big. I don't want to question motives, but then with things like silly little things that I, like the mask reveal video, like, it's just funny. Like, I don't know. It just seems like it's pandering too much to something that seems very anti-Slipknot. Because I think, like, in this era, despite changing their masks and whatever else, it wasn't so transparently this big marketing thing. I mean, times have changed. Like, social media, internet, how bands function, how the music industry functions. I recognize all that stuff has changed, and things, they need to change with the times as well, on the business end and the marketing aspect as well. But I really feel like they get further and further and further away from that initial punk, we don't give a fuck attitude that they had in the first however many years they were active, especially like if we talk about the first two albums. That was so present and seemed so sincere and so real, and now it really seems like it's kind of a shell. And I mean, I love how, I mean, Corey Taylor doesn't really give a shit about, like, he says what he wants to say all the time, it seems, presses buttons and doesn't really care about who he's pissing off. So, like, that's the thing, there's too much, it seems so inconsistent sometimes. And I know we're talking about the band as a whole, and there's a lot of stuff there that maybe is out of their hands when it comes to like marketing and whatever, but I would hope they still have a lot of control there. I don't know everything, right? I'm just ranting. Another funny thing I want to point out, well, not a funny thing, but all the stuff that's going on with Chris, right? With like, he sued the band because of this, that, and the other thing. They said, okay, peace, like Chris is out. His lawyer maintains he's still in the band, that he's not fired, that he's still technically employed. However, in the video, I mean, I don't know if I'm completely up to date as of today with the legal stuff and how the band is, they said he's fired, so I'm assuming he is. But in the video, I was thinking about it and I was like, when was this filmed? Was it filmed when he was still in the band? Because I think it's been filmed after. Because when we talk about the mask thing, like I said, like Mixed Mask is like almost never changed. Like Clown is still Clown. He's always been a clown. Like and like Jim Root's like mask is a variation of what it has been for a while, but at least it's changed a bit. However, so I mean Chris, his freaking Pinocchio schlong, like schlong,
Schlong?
his Pinocchio his Pinocchio nose has been like it's oh. I don't want to call that a Freudian slip, but anyway, his Pinocchio like nose mask feature has been there for a while, and then this video is completely absent, and there's like this other presence there. I've been questioning, like I don't go and research stuff a bunch. I've been questioning myself since the whole Chris thing happened. I was like, are they even going to replace him with another percussionist? Do they really need another percussionist? I'm like, Clown is doing backing vocals sometimes. I mean, and he's doing the percussion, but then for certain songs. They come out with both of the snares live, and they're like doing their little, so it's like maybe I guess they do because there's 9 people in that video, right? And one of them I don't think is Chris. I think that was filmed after this whole thing. I feel like it is a new member, so that's an interesting thing too. To wrap things up, I would say that. This single comes in really epic, and I mean one thing that Clown does amazingly with everything, like every teaser they put out, whatever. I mean, Clown's an amazing artist, and he's like doing video editing or whatever else, and I'm assuming he's the one who's taking care of those teasers too. I'm not 100% sure, but he usually is in charge of all that, and he's like the art director for the band, right? So he does a great, amazing job. That it gets you sucked in, and it's like, wow, this is going to be epic, like epic in a good way. Whereas the sound of the song itself is like, this is just epic in like in a stale new Slipknot way. This is, yeah, to me this feels stale. It doesn't feel fresh. It does not feel like I said. This song could have been on the Grey Chapter, and it would have been easily a part of that. And the weird thing, or maybe it's not that weird, because I mean I don't know how much creative input new members have, right? I don't even remember, I hate that I can't remember the new bassist's name, but we've got Jay on the drums now and stuff, and we've got a new bassist, and now possibly a new percussionist, who I'm sure, because this is so, like, late in the game for whatever, he hasn't had any creative, I shouldn't say he, I don't know, any creative input at all, right? But, I'm like, is Jay, like, I don't know, it just feels like you've got, for the first time, I mean, it's been how many years now, but, like, you've got new members, and for so long it was like 9 members, and it was like this miraculous thing that for like a decade and however many other years on top of that, you had 9 members stick together in a band. It's hard enough for 4 members in a band sometimes to just have a career that long with the original members and stuff, right? Now we've got new blood in there, and still this is feeling stale, like the new Slipknot. And I don't know what era I should call that. I feel like that's just the last 2 albums. I mean, or I guess this album and the Grey Chapter. All Hope Is Gone, like, again, that, like, there was some natural progression, I feel, from the first 2 albums. Subliminal Verses was kind of like a bigger, I don't want to say shock, but I liked it. It just seemed that it was like, we went from, like, heavy and extreme to Subliminal Verses where it didn't feel like any of that was extreme anymore. And All Hope Is Gone seemed like a very natural progression from that, which is great. And then the Grey Chapter was like, hey, we bottomed out. We just bottomed out hard. Like I don't know. And it seems like it's not that far of a bridge from All Hope Is Gone to the Grey Chapter. But Grey Chapter to this single, I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you release this as a single? I am hopeful. Like I said, well, I'm not hopeful. I am hoping that the rest of the album will prove me wrong, and there'll be more awesome tracks on there than there were on the Grey Chapter. But I'm not hopeful. I'm just hoping.